This is the North Star Takes podcast with Bailey Policki and Jacob Liberta. You can find all our videos here on our YouTube channel. So if you're new to the channel, feel free to hit that subscribe button, especially if you're a big time Minnesota sports fan. And in this case, a big time Minnesota Vikings fan. And if you're a positive fan, you probably won't find this video too much fun. But we're going to get into today why the Minnesota Vikings are so dang conservative when it comes to their in game decisions, clock management, plays at within the final 2 minutes of the first half and second half. So let's kind of get into the play calling part of it first. Finishing out halves, when you have an opportunity to go down and just drive down quick on a team, you have a couple timeouts, possibly potentially kick a field goal. It seems like this team always wants to run on the first play. And Zimmer even said it after the game on Sunday. He basically said, well, we kind of wanted to run first, and if we got 10 yards, then we were going to go. It's like, well, how much time is that run play going to take off before it doesn't make sense. So what are your thoughts on that? I mean, clearly it sounds like it's coming from Zimmer to do this at the end of halves. So is it frustrating for you as a pretty positive Minnesota Vikings fan to see this stuff week in and week out?
Yeah, it is pretty frustrating because you see league wide these days. Like maybe this was a something you did even 5, 10 years ago, something like that. Like you don't really push the issue with less than 2 minutes, or I should say like less than a minute or something like that. Then sometimes in certain situations, especially when you're at home, then you just kind of sit on the ball and take it to the half, and you feel comfortable. But at the same time, I feel like these days every team is trying to push the issue and score as many points as possible in such an offensive-driven league. So it does make me a little disappointed that we don't try and be more aggressive as far as scoring the ball in 2 minute situations right before the half and scenarios that are similar to that. But I I would just say that yeah, it's there's a lot of layers to this problem, but I think it just starts with Zimmer's philosophy that basically he wants to trust the defense and have the offense do as little as possible, so they have as little opportunity to make mistakes as possible. And I think that's just the way it is, and I think that's why we don't really uh, play it all that hard right before the half and try and take shots down the field and things like that. So I think this definitely does start with Zimmer, like you said. I feel like he's leading the charge here and kind of pumping the brakes on basically whatever the offense coaches or the players even really want to do.
Yeah, I think it doesn't make sense to me because like you look at the end of the game against the Lions and they're trying to run clock out and Alexander Madison fumbles the ball. Now, granted, it's kind of a fluke dumb play for that to happen. I mean, how often does that truly happen? And
Yeah,
Madison's a pretty reliable running back, but it's kind of ironic that when they're trying to be super conservative and we can't afford to screw up here, they still screw up. It's like you're almost better off being aggressive and trying to win the game outright, which is what Dan Campbell did by going for two when the Lions scored that touchdown at the end of the game. He went for two to take the 1 point lead. I
hmm
don't know if Zimmer would ever consider that, honestly. I think he'd kick
no,
the extra point and go to overtime. And some
yeah,
people have brought up that the Lions would have maybe had a better chance at winning the game if they had kicked the extra point and gone to overtime, because then Zimmer would have just played the end of the half there to go to overtime rather than being aggressive to try and go down and score because you have to. So yeah, I find that very interesting, and I don't know. You would think after a game like this last week, Zimmer would realize, Kirk was able to drive down the field in 35 seconds at the end of the game and got us in field goal range. Like, do you know how often he could do that at the end of halves, or especially if you got a couple timeouts? I don't understand the reasoning. Your offense is full of veterans besides, offensive linemen, but all your skill position players are offensive linemen. All your skill position players are veterans. Your quarterback's a veteran, and obviously Dalvin Cook is one of the best players in the league. So yeah, I don't know. I think you got to put trust in your players, because if you don't trust your players, then they can't do their full jobs, and then that's how you lose games, is when your players aren't playing up to their potential, basically.
yeah. Trust is huge. I think Zimmer's got to trust this offense a little bit more because I think it is the strong suit of his team, and I feel like he's just not doing enough of it right now. And Kirk just went out there and won him the game. Between him and Greg Joseph, I think
Yeah.
they really saved Kirk or saved. I was supposed to say save Kirk. Saved Zim and his job actually. So I think he's definitely got to invest more trust into this offense. But I yeah, I don't know. It just feels broken, I guess. But at the same time, I kind of like that you brought up that Dan Campbell situation that they went for two after the touchdown to take the lead, and they did it. And honestly, I think that really depends on real. really depends on the scenario your team is in. So, for instance,
Hmm.
for the Vikings in that case, like let's say the roles are reversed and we're trying to tie the game against the Lions at home, then I kick the extra point and play for overtime because I feel like I'm the better team. I'm playing at home, and I feel like I'd have better luck in overtime than
Yeah.
the Lions would. But at the same time, let's say the Vikings are on the road playing clearly a better team or a playoff team, um, then I'd probably like you score a late touchdown and you have the chance to either tie the game with an extra point or go for two for the win. I'm probably going for two for the win just because I like to, if it's there for the taking to beat a really good team on the road, then I feel like you should absolutely take advantage of that. But at the same time, you got to pick your spots too and not be dumb. I think
Hmm.
there's a fine line between being too aggressive and then being conservative. And I feel like we're definitely on the conservative side as we're talking about
Yes.
right now. But at the same time, I don't want to get just stupid with the play calling and play way too aggressively when you just shouldn't. But
Yeah, I would agree with you there. There's definitely times to do it and times not to do it. I think what the most frustrating part about this is, though, is like you look around the league, and clearly, like a lot of these teams have gone in the direction of hiring a young, offensive-minded head coach, and not
mhm.
even necessarily offensive-minded. Like the Chargers, that Brandon Staley, I believe, is a defensive guy,
Yeah.
but he's also aggressive. He digs into the analytics, and
Hmm.
he's willing to go for it on a fourth down. He's willing to trust his offense to go and do their job, and clearly the Chargers just gave up 42 points this last weekend to the Browns, and they were still able to win the game because he just leans into the offense and says, "You guys can easily win us this game if the defense isn't going to." So I just wish that we'd get more of that from Zimmer as well. Like, there's more than one way to win a football game. Like, you can win more than just running the ball and playing defense. You know?
Hmm. Oh, 100%. Yeah, I feel like we're not playing in the stone age of football anymore. I feel like this is modern day NFL where you can throw the ball over the yard and that's how you win a lot of games. So I think we definitely got to move in that direction more than we are right now.
Yeah, so this might be kind of a rhetorical question, but do you think it's possible at all for Zimmer to adapt? Like, do you think it's possible for him to look back at the tape of this Lions game and say, "Man, we really got to be more aggressive because we put ourselves in tough spots throughout this game"?
I feel like there's a 10% chance of that happening. Maybe 10's even a little high, but he's
Yeah.
been here 8 years. It's been kind of the same old stuff, same old game management. And as far as just picking your spots to take chances or to not, and I feel like he definitely errs on the side of caution. And I think that that's just not changing. Like I said, 8 years, he's got a pretty consistent track record. So I don't see why it would change now. But at the same time, like you said, now you have basically a example right in front of you, right in front of your eyes last week against the Lions. Kirk in the offense saving a game with less than 30 seconds or 40 seconds, whatever it was. And
Hmm.
like, what was it, one or two timeouts or something like that. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like that should be plain as day. But again, I think he's also a pretty stubborn guy. So I don't see why I would change at this point.
Yeah, I will give him some credit. It does seem he's been more aggressive on fourth downs this year.
I
It
do
does,
like that.
it does
Yeah.
feel like we've been going for it more on fourth down, and I think that's just him. After all the grief he's gotten over the last couple of years about not going for it enough on fourth down, I think that's kind of changed him a little bit.
Hmm.
But the stuff that really grinds me is like the clock management, usage of timeouts in certain spots. I think still is questionable as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's just part of being a head coach, where it's like those are very important things you have to be good at. And it still feels like he's more focused on like what the defense is doing, what plays he's going to call for them,
Hmm.
rather than focusing on the game as a whole. So I'll give him credit for the fourth down thing, but when it comes to like the clock management stuff, I just don't really see that changing, honestly.
Yeah, we got to keep the ball rolling with this improvement of being a head coach in year 8. But I think it's kind of disappointing. We're still talking about things like this where it's all about the philosophy as far as how you play end of half scenarios. It is a little frustrating.
For sure. So yeah, we'll kind of see how it turns out against Carolina here this upcoming Sunday. But yeah, I don't know. I don't see it changing too much, and it could end up costing him his job. So we'll have to see. But
Hmm.
that's going to do it for this edition of the North Star Takes podcast. Be sure to hit that like button, especially if Mike Zimmer's game management is frustrating for you as well. If you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button as well. Give us a follow on both Twitter and Instagram. We're trying to grow our platform on there as well. And yeah, feel free to leave your comments below how you're feeling about Mike Zimmer. If you're wishing he was gone already, I know I was feeling that way throughout the last week's games. So yeah, leave your comments below. Let us know what you're thinking. So thanks for watching.